Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list, this is definitely a little different. I was looking through my playlists, and it turns out that, well, for my playlist for top 10s, I have 52 top 10 lists. And since I put out one a week, that means this represents one full year of top 10 lists. So, what better way to celebrate my 1 year with top 10s than with my top 10 top 10 lists? I was trying to figure out a way on how I could show my top 10 lists. So, I just turned the camera toward my TV and I got my PlayStation hooked up and we can go through it this way. Now, you can see I have quite a few different lists for all kinds of different top 10s. And many of these were suggested by you guys. Some of these I came up off the top of my head. Before I ever did a single top 10 list, I decided to write down as many ideas as I could, and I came up with about 25. Um, the fact that I have 52 of these lists up here, that blows my mind, especially since I still have other top 10 lists that I can do. So I have to thank you guys for your creativity, and let's get on with it. Number 10 on my top 10 lists. I'm going with this one right here. This is the top 10 expensive and rare notes. Now, this particular list, I'm not going to tell you what was number one or anything like that on any of these lists. I'll let you check out the playlists and rewatch them or watch them for the first time yourself. But the top 10 expensive notes, these were notes that you just aren't supposed to be able to find. The average collector's probably not going to end up owning any of these notes. They are extremely rare, extremely high demand notes that just are worth so much and pretty much out of everybody's price range. And of course, after making that list, what did I do? I went out and actually found a note on that list and own it. I'll let you guys check out that list to see which one it was. But yeah, the top 10 expensive and rare notes that technically you're not supposed to own. I own one. That's number 10 on my list. Number 9, I'm going one notch down here. This is the top 10 controversial notes. Now, top 10 controversial notes, you can see the note that's pictured in the thumbnail there. That is the tombstone note, and that's kind of controversial because that features Vice President Hendricks, who died in office in 1885. So that is pictured there, the 1886 $10 note, $10 silver certificate. The shape around his head is very reminiscent of a tombstone, thus the name Tombstone. But was it a tombstone shape because he had died? Or did that shape become known as a tombstone because the person it was surrounded by had died? See what I mean? Interesting stories. There's 9 other notes in that list with all kinds of interesting stories just like that as well. That's why it's number 9 on my list. I really like it when a note has a good story behind it. What better reason to collect it? So that's number 9. Number 8, we're going to scroll down here. I've got the top 10 Shortlived Series. Now, one of my favorite things about this particular list, aside from it was a cool idea, was the fact that I got to show so many of my notes in this top 10 list. Normally, if I want to show more than 10 notes, I have to show honorable mentions. I think with this particular list, I was able to show somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 of my notes from my collection, just to include all of the notes that I had in these short-lived series. So yeah, that was a fun one for me to be able to show off a lot of what I have, and there's a lot of good information in there as well. Since these notes weren't issued for long periods of time, they are a little harder to get. So if you were thinking about targeting specific things for your collection, checking out the top 10 short-lived series is a good starting point. So that's why it's on my list there at number 8. Number 7, where was this one at? Number 7 was right here, my top 10 errors. Now, top 10 errors, people tend to find things that they think are errors. Usually it's just damage, usually it's something that, it might be something that was written on, or it is a very minor printing error. Well, this top 10 list doesn't include those. Each of these each of these notes in this top 10 list are legitimate errors, including a number of graded ones. So if you want to see actual errors, the ones that people are paying money for, then check out this list. You're going to see the one that's in the thumbnail there shows the third print where it's overlapping the second print. If you look at the 3 in the bottom, it's called a shift error, that particular one. The third print is shifted too far to the left to where it actually interferes with the printing of the second printing. That is why it is an error that is worth money. Whenever you get one print that interferes with another, that's when you start to see a little bit of value, because those errors are supposed to be caught. Like I said, one of only 10. I'm just going by what's on the thumbnail there and remembering what's in there and why I put it in there. But still, the top 10 error notes. That's number 7 on my list. Number 6. I liked this one. Top 10 backs on US currency. Now, most people focus on the face of the notes. And a lot of times when people are talking about notes, they rarely give the back any credit at all. I'm guilty of that myself. There are many times when I will have the face of the note out, and I will just quickly turn over the note, show you the back, tell you a little bit about it, and then flip it back to the front. So virtually all of my notes, you only see one side. Well, you do get to see both sides, but for the most part, you're staring at the front of the note. However, there are a lot of really interesting backs. So there's a lot of cool different backs on our currency as well. So this top 10 list I devoted simply to the back side of the note. My friend Money Talks will say, let's check out that rear when he turns them over, and it makes me giggle every time he says that. So top 10 backs on US currency. Definitely a different side of the note compared to what you're usually looking for. So that one is number 6 on my list. Number 5. Where is number 5? Nope, went the wrong way. Number 5 is going to be right there. Top 10 notes for beginners. Top 10 notes for beginners. Now, these are not the most valuable notes out there, but what these are, like you can see in that thumbnail, that is a $5 legal tender, probably a 1953. You can't see quite from this distance, but that is a note that the average person doesn't have in their pocket. It is a collectible note. It is a very affordable note, and it allows you a little bit of diversity in your collection. You want your collection to have a little bit of everything in there. Yes, you can focus on specific things, but when you're just starting out, you want to see all the different things that are out there and get an idea on price ranges, and that's when you're learning what you actually like. So by going through these top 10 notes for beginners, you're going to see a bunch of different types of notes, and from there you're going to be able to decide how you want to grow your collection. So that's why I like about this one. It's great for people who are just getting into it. They're not going to have to spend a ton of money to acquire all top 10 of these, and it opens their eyes to the entire world of currency collecting. So that one there is number 5 on my list, top 10 notes for beginners. Number 4, I think it was this way. Let's see, did I go the right way? Nope, I went the wrong way. Number 4 is right there, top 10 types of US currency. All right, this is the big brother of the previous list. The previous list was notes for beginners. Top 10 types of US currency. This shows you gold certificates, silver certificates, Federal Reserves, legal tenders, all different stuff like that. There are so many different types of notes the average person isn't even aware, because when you look in your pocket today, all you're ever seeing is Federal Reserve notes. Some people recall silver certificates, and if you press people, maybe they'll come up with red seals. But there's a lot more different types of currency than just that. This top 10 list goes through each and every one of those so that you can get an idea exactly the different types of currency there are. And once again, another way to branch your collection out. You don't necessarily have to focus on one thing. You can see by my collection, I don't focus on anything. I like collecting all of it. But when you get started, you do kind of want to be focused in one particular area. How do you choose the area? Well, you look at a list like that, top 10 types of US currency. And when you see something you like, well, then you've gotten the bug, and then you're going to want to get it all. So that is number 4 on my list, top 10 types of US currency. Number 3 on my list is right there, top 10 different color seals. Now, usually our money has a green seal on it. Some notes, legal tenders, are also called red seals, so you know that that's a different color. And you also are familiar that silver certificates had a blue seal. So that's red, that's green, and that's blue. But here's the list of 10 total different colors that you're going to find on currency. If you want to see all of those, check out that video. It's also really cool because at the end, when I've got all the notes laid out like that, it's just a really, really neat kind of rainbow effect. So I'm pretty happy with the way that that one turned out. Top 10 different colors. That one is number 3. Number 2, one of my most recent ones, is right here, top 10 gold certificates. I am a huge fan of the gold certificates. I really like them. I was not aware that gold certificates existed when I started collecting, and one of the first notes that I ever bought that cost a little bit of money was a gold certificate. The $20 1922 large size gold certificate. That note blew my mind because it was larger than any note that I had ever seen. It was a 20 featuring George Washington, and I didn't know gold certificates existed. So all of those together is what drew me into collecting currency to begin with. So this is my top 10 gold certificates. There's some good ones on there. There's some pretty impressive notes in that list. You'll have to check that one out as well. So that is number 2. What did I choose of all my lists for number 1? Let's see. Where did it go? My number 1 choice on my top 10 lists was right there. The top 10 most expensive notes in my collection. Top 10 most expensive notes. This one does have some honorable mentions because when I was doing the top 10, there were some notes in my collection that I just assumed would be in the top 10 based on their value, their worth, their want, the desire that people have to have those notes. I just assumed they would be there. But when I actually priced out my notes, some of those notes didn't even make the list. So this one has a few honorable mentions. And then I actually get to the top 10 for expensive notes. Thing is, this list is a little outdated now. I've got some pretty neat stuff coming up in the future, and I've got some notes that I've gotten since I've made this list. So look forward to seeing an update on this particular one. But nonetheless, this particular list, top 10 most expensive notes in my collection, one of the things I like the most about this list is I actually went and got the real notes. I didn't use any of my replicas. So that entire stack of cash that you're going to see on there, every one of those notes is the real deal. And I'm pretty proud of that particular collection. So that is my top 10 lists, now that I've got 52 of them. I do have the whole playlist out there. Feel free to go check out the playlist and see all the different stuff in there. That was my particular ranking. I'd be curious to see if you guys agree with that as well. If you guys have an idea for a top 10 list, please leave that down in the comments. If I use your idea, I'll put your name in there as well. If you like what you see, don't forget to tell your friends and subscribe. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again next week.